This is the Silver Wolf Howl. I am Angela, and today we are chatting to Frank from TrueKrav Training. Hi Frank, welcome to our podcast, and thanks for allowing us to be here.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's interesting to have a chat with you guys.
So what is Krav Maga? Where does it come from?
Okay, so Krav Maga actually just means, if Krav Maga was in Afrikaans, it would be naby beklei, or in English it would be close fighting. That's all it is. It's not actually a martial art. It's a self-defense system. There are the original idea of Krav Maga. There's a guy called Emil Lichtenstein, who grew up in Europe in the 40s and 50s through the Bronx and stuff, and he was obviously street fighting, and obviously with what was happening with Nazism and everything, he developed a form of street fighting. So the best of boxing, best of judo, knife fighting, and he formed it into a style. And I think in 1972 he relocated back to Israel, and he taught this to the IDF. What we teach today probably doesn't look anything like what he originally taught. See, as different. So there's no single body that's in charge of Krav Maga. The people always talk about, I think it's called the Wingate Institute in Israel. The Wingate Institute is just like our Sports Science Institute here. So the average IDF soldier probably only uses Krav for aggression training. But he'd never, in a combat situation, it's probably unlikely that he would use it. It's more being used by special forces and been then adapted. So for close quarter combat, where you're fighting hand to hand in a house at close quarters, that's probably where you'd use it. Then obviously for unexpected attacks on yourself from close quarters as well. What we teach is, so you get a couple of different Krav Maga governing bodies. A lot of them, I think, are pyramid schemes. So you get the International Krav Maga Federation, Commando Krav, etc. Each department or division or unit that took on Krav did their own development and own furtherment of it separately of each other. So you'll find that Krav differs between different bodies. And what we do is specific to us. It's specific to Etienne Ferreira, TrueKrav. And initially, when I first started training, the Israeli that was involved was a guy called Idana Bolnik. And what we teach, so what we have a look at is you also have to be careful with TrueKrav. There's a lot of Krav out there that's just a pyramid scheme. So you can pay your $10,000, go to Israel for 3 weeks and become a level 1 instructor. So in essence, what we teach, okay, it's called TrueKrav. So all it means is true combat. That's all it means. It's a complete combat system. So it deals with hand-to-hand, hot and cold weapons, and also tactical stuff, all integrated as one system. So you wouldn't, for instance, go and learn. So when it's an integrated system, everything works together. Everything's similar. And I think, as from what I can see out there, it's probably the only system out there that does it. Otherwise you get people that are picking a little bit of Muay Thai and a bit of Jiu-Jitsu, and then they go and they learn a bit of a mock knife fighting, and then they'll learn a bit of commando tactics, firearm, but they're not integrated like our system is. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, no, it does make sense. It's a complete system is really what you're saying. That includes all sorts of different elements. So how did you get into this, and how long have you been doing this?
Yeah, so like most South African males, grew up quite robust and always happy to have a quick box somewhere. And like most of us, can always take care of myself, and always thought, yeah, I can do this, no problem, strong enough. Until one day I was playing rugby, and it was also when the sides were integrating, and there was a lot of fighting going on, not only between the sides, but the spectators on the side of the field. And I was playing out in the northern suburbs, and fight erupted on the field, and then the spectators got involved, and a guy walked onto the field and put a gun against my head. I didn't panic. I thought, now what? I actually said to the guy, put the gun down and we can sort this out. But what if you don't put the gun down? I just thought, okay, now what? And I'd been looking for a while at also just what had happened in South Africa and the guns and whatever. So I'd looked at Muay Thai. I love boxing. My big thing is boxing, and I love watching jits. But I looked at all of them, and none of them answered my question if there's a house invasion, there's a gun, and there's 1 or 2 robbers, or there's a knife or whatever. But what really brought it home is, I'd always said it in the back of my head, what really brought it home is when the guy walked on the field and put the gun against my head. Now what? And then straight after that, I started looking, and I thought, okay, now what? What could I do? And then I started looking at traditional martial arts, and they were all crap. And I started looking at stuff like a mock and some of the stuff out the stick fighting from the Philippines and no one really had. And then I was watching actually History Channel, and up came a thing, and they had I can't remember the name of the program, but Bas Rutten, one of the all-time great MMA guys, brought up, and they were talking about this Israeli system called TrueKrav, and they actually had a guy demonstrating it. And I watched. I was actually traveling at the time quite a bit. I was actually in England when I saw the program. And I went and I tried to find some local guys in England, and I had a look, and I wasn't quite happy because I'm like the questioning type, like all of you, you know. If the guy puts a gun here and I grab here and you do that job, but that's actually not going to work in real life, because I want to do it, but I'm going to hold on a little bit harder, and I'm going to not try to prove you wrong. I want you must prove to me it works, because the guy's not just going to give the gun away, you know. And so I wasn't happy. And then I saw a video when I came back to South Africa. I was still traveling quite a bit. I was actually living in the UK for a short while. It was after the gun incident, and I came back to South Africa. And I saw a couple of videos on YouTube from a company called Golani Security, and it was done in Etienne. And I just looked at some of the stuff they did, and I really liked it. And so I actually phoned him, Etienne, and I said, if you ever come to Cape Town, then give me a call if you ever open a branch here. And eventually they did come to Cape Town, they opened a branch. It was about 12 years ago. And then I just got hooked. And then it was just trained hard. So that was 2 classes, 8. So 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, and an hour on Saturdays for 6 years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah. And what was also great, what I liked about it, is it wasn't just about hand to hand. It was knives, guns, pangas, but also once you take the knife, what do you do with the knife? You know, some people teach you defense, but now what do I do with the knife? But they teach you how to fight with a knife, yeah? And you teach you how to fight with a gun, how to protect your family. If there's a house invasion, what do I do? How do I secure my family? Is there a safe room I can take my family to? How do I clear the house? If I'm helping someone off, there's the third party attack. And so it was the most complete system I'd seen. It was also a lot harder than I thought it was. You know, I also learned the hard way that there's no magic to self-defense, man. It's hard work. It's hard work. And if you, and you know, so also the other thing that I also understood quite early on, it was something that Idan also said, which I actually twigged on, is it's better to learn nothing than to learn the wrong thing. Because if someone attacks me, puts a gun against my head, knife, or there's a house invasion, and I do nothing, I've got a 50% chance of survival. He's either going to do something or he's not. But if I do the wrong thing, if I do nothing, I've got a chance of, if I do the wrong thing and you anger him, my chances of survival go from 50% to 10%. So you need to be sure that whatever you choose is the right thing. And the only way for you to be sure of that is to train in a real life environment and to put it under pressure. Just because the instructor is the instructor doesn't mean that you shouldn't put him under pressure and ask questions. You're not trying to show him wrong. You're not trying to be the big oak. You need to prove to yourself that the system works. And the only way to do that is to put the guy under pressure. And if he's confident enough and qualified enough, he shouldn't have a problem with that. You know?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So then that leads us to our next question. Defending yourself, particularly in South Africa, is important, but do you agree that people should be smart about all of it and not just, as you say, it's better to learn nothing than to learn the wrong thing?
Yeah, so you need to, yeah, 100%. So you need to commit yourself to something. There is no magic in self-defense, none. So anyone that promises you that you can go do a 3-hour course on a Saturday and it's going to rape-proof you or bully-proof you, that's bullshit. What it'll do is it'll give you a window in on what can be done. So by all means, go and do the course and evaluate it. But there's no ways just doing that 3-hour course is going to actually make you proficient. So what, you know, if we run, so what we do is we do a lot of anti-rape workshops, we do a lot of anti-hijack workshops, etc. Is to show the people, so our students do it. That's fun, but if you do it as a non-student, you're always welcome to come do it. It's to give you a window in on what can be done. And then you seriously got to consider at least committing yourself for 6 months. And that's true for any form of self-defense. Then also, another problem we have in South Africa is we go and we do a month of boxing. Now I can box. Well, actually, you can't. You just know enough to get hurt. So there just needs to be, and in South Africa, it needs to be a way of life. For me, it's not even a 6-month thing. So train hard for 6 months. But, you know, and after 6 months, if you can't come every week, come every once a month, do some refresh course, always stay fit and stay. Because it doesn't matter how good your technique is. Once you lose your fitness and your strength, I mean, we had to go just hitting bags and someone stopping you, how quickly you get gassed. And that's in an environment where we're just hitting a bag. Now, add the extra shock of there being a physical attacker there, and the lactic acid build-up and the adrenaline rush. that in 15 seconds you gassed. You actually just can't even lift your arms, So for me, if you're staying, so me personally, I obviously preach this. If you're going to stay in South Africa, okay, for me, it's not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. We've gone from an average of 50-odd murders today. I think we're closing on 76 murders a day now in South Africa. So we've gone from 20,000 a year. We're now over 22,000 a year. 600,000 since 1994, people murdered. I mean, we're losing more people in South Africa a year almost than the war now in Ukraine. So if you're going to stay in South Africa, you owe it, especially for me. I think the women also need to look after themselves, because the men your husband can't always be with you, your boyfriend can't always be with you, but you're always with yourself, obviously, but you might be with the kids. As a husband, though, or a man, you owe it to yourself to be able to not only protect yourself, but actually to be able to do it properly, not think you can, and to be able to look after your wife, and to be able to look after your family. But not only those, look after everyone that's like-minded around you that can't look after themselves. That needs to become a way of life. So we need to, I'm not saying be fanatical about it. I'm not saying we need to be buying ghillie suits and crawling up mountains every day. But you know what? Good habit. Sunday morning, take your family, go for a hike up the mountain. Keeps you fit. Go picnic on top of the mountain, as opposed to driving to the beach and picnicking on the beach. Just developing a more active lifestyle that keeps us fit. Because the fitter we are, the more able we are, the more capable. You'd be surprised how many criminals aren't fit. So they also have the same window that you need to survive. They've got that window to perpetrate or to complete their crime. And if they can't get it done in that window, they're in trouble. So just being fitter and being more aware, you're already one up on them. And a lot of crime. There is so much crime in South Africa. Most of it's not planned. Most of it's crime of opportunity. So it's planned in the way that they'll all hop in a car and they'll all drive out. But they've planned to go commit a crime, but they're looking for the opportunity for the weak link to commit the crime. It's not often that, CRT heists they'll plan beforehand. Well, they'll say, okay, we know this truck's here every day, and then they'll plan the CRT heist. But most home invasions and stuff like that they're quite opportunistic. Guys are all going to cruise, drive around, say, shit, there's someone going in this gate, now let's follow them in. So I think by just being aware, and just taking better care of ourselves to start with, we already won up.
And firearms, what's your take on it? Are they necessary?
If you don't have a firearm in this country, if you intend staying in this country and you don't have a firearm, you're mad. But it's not about having a firearm. There are a lot of people that have firearms. So we used to and still do a lot of training of farmers and stuff, got a lot of farm attacks, etc. You won't believe how many farmers are caught and then taken into the house, and their firearms not on there. The firearms in the safe. They open the safe and they kill the firearms with their own weapons. Two things. So owning a firearm. So how do you make people gun safe? My kids are gun safe. We grew up in an environment where there were always firearms. I grew up shooting, not properly, but growing up with firearms. You learn to respect firearms. You know that this can kill, this goes bang, don't touch. And my son's been shooting from when he was 4, 5, 6. Has the utmost respect for firearms. So how do you make a family gun safe? It's by teaching them about firearms. Okay. Owning a firearm in itself is worthless. So proper competency, proper firearm. Once you've got a firearm, not only should you practice often, but my suggestion is that you get training. Because aiming at a target, standing still, breathing properly, everyone can teach you to breathe, and you hear that whole crap, breathe out. As you breathe out, squeeze the trigger so you're not going up and down, and wait for the shot to go off. That is so. So now I'm target shooting. So now I'm shooting for points. I want to shoot 5 shots within a 5 rand coin at, 8 meters or 10 meters or whatever it might be with the handgun, maybe 5 meters with a handgun. That's not tactical shooting, okay? When I'm under pressure and someone's attacking me and someone's running, I don't have time to big breath in, breath out, squeeze the trigger, because he's not there anymore. Okay, so it's a totally, completely different method of shooting when I'm under pressure and when I'm responding to an attack and when I'm responding under fire. Learning to shoot from behind cover, learning that I can't stand still in one place. So quite often what I see is these guys, and the guys shoot very well. Take nothing away from the skill. The guy will draw his firearm, and from standing he'll shoot over 10 plates, bam, 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 double tap in a matter of seconds. In real life, though, if he was standing in one place and there were 10 people standing and he drew and he shot, by the time he shot the second person, the 10th person would have shot him already. So that whole concept of getting proper training from someone, of fighting when the attack happens, changing direction and position, shooting double tap, moving, never shooting from the same, fighting towards cover, fighting from behind cover. That's stuff that people must learn. And what is cover? Cover can be that ledge there on the pool, if that's all there is. Just that little bump in the pool there where the curving, whatever you want to call it, just that little elevation, that's enough cover for me to fight behind. Okay? Getting that sort of training first. And then once I've got that sort of training, then actually going once every 2 weeks and actually shooting and keeping current. And dry training, you know. And that's the difference. So don't be a firearm owner. Be a capable firearm owner. And those 3 steps are obviously doing your competency, which is a waste of time. You need to know that all. But competency doesn't teach you anything about self-defense. Someone teaching you how to shoot is not the same as going to someone who's tactically aware and teaching you tactically how to shoot. And for me, that's what you need.
Okay, so then do you offer training for shooting only? So in other words, if somebody doesn't want to do the TrueKrav, but they just want to learn the shooting, or is it something that comes as one package and you integrate the shooting with the TrueKrav and you have to kind of do the whole thing together? Or?
No, okay, so you can come just for shooting training. But if you do Krav, you will definitely do shooting training. Because eventually we'll take you how to take the firearm off, then I'll teach you how to shoot with the firearm, and eventually it reads. So most of the people that have done, so we've also got level 1, level 2, level 3 shooting. So the level 1 shooting would be, we also shoot differently, and we've spoken about that before. When we go to the range, while we carry condition 3 as opposed to condition 1, and I'm not going to argue with anyone about that, but how we shoot, how we move, what we do, how we reload, how we work together, we do differently from most. We do it the Israeli way. Because Israel's been fighting for 6,000 years, you know, with weapons, hot weapons for 100 years. And they're fighting every day. They know what they're doing. I'm not saying they're the only people that know what they're doing, but they know very well what they're doing. So basing what we do on what they do is already a good start. So I do have people that only come for shooting and the tactical stuff. They don't do the Krav. But if you do Krav, you'll do the shooting because they're completely integrated.
Okay, so then how long does it take for someone to get reasonably capable in defending themselves?
For me, you're wasting your time if you don't commit yourself for 6 months. Okay, so there are different ways of doing it because I have different clients. For me, if you wanted to become completely proficient, so we also have, there's actually quite a bit to learn, but we break it down that there's probably 5% of the stuff that you'll learn. I think I mentioned this before. 5% of the stuff that you'll learn that you'll see 95% of the time. So the most common knife stab in the world is aspect. Doesn't matter where you are. Glasgow, big knife problem, Munich. The most common stab, Russia, America, the most common stab in the world is aspect. So we'll teach you aspect. Common robbery, gun to the head from the front, gun to the bottom, hostage situation, gun from behind. So there's 5% of the stuff that you'll see 95% of the time. And in the first 6 months of training, we teach you that 5% of stuff. So I need to be able to walk up to you at any time, not show you. So we need to get to the stage where, and generally, so it'd be 6 months of training twice a week. 6 months, twice a week, for an hour. And at the end of that 5% of stuff, I need to be able to, if you're not even expecting it, just walk up and grab you and put a knife and you need to be able to react to it. And that's where we try to get you by the end of the first 6 months. Then it's up to you whether you want to continue to learn the rest of the stuff and learn the shoot. And part of that, I teach you basic shooting. I don't teach you tactical shooting. I teach you, if I take the knife off, your gun off you, how do I shoot you with your own firearm? If I take your knife off you, how do I kill you with your own knife? The tactical shooting, where it's my own firearm, and that sort of stuff is completely different. Yeah, makes sense?
Yeah, 6 months.
6 months. But I've been doing it for 12 years and I'm still learning.
Okay. Does one need to be super fit to learn, or what are the prerequisites?
You certainly, so you don't have to be super fit to learn, but your fitness will definitely improve. You also have to just have the right mindset because you're going to take knocks when you train. There's no such thing as training without taking a bruise or a knock here or there or whatever. So you've got to have quite a robust mindset because in the real world, when the fight's on, you know, when you get into a knife fight with someone, I'm not promising you're not going to get stabbed, or cut. You might get cut, you might need stitches, but we're going to help you survive it. The same with a hand-to-hand fight. There's no one in the whole world. If I had a system that I could teach you and say, you're going to get into a hand-to-hand fight and no one's going to punch you, everyone would be lining up at my door. I'm trying to teach you to survive that. You're definitely going to get punched. So you have to be of a robust nature. And then either you will improve your fitness or your fitness will improve as you do it. But preferably for you to improve faster, you need to do something on the fitness side outside of what we do because I don't see you often enough. And for me, anything that has natural body weight training. Okay? So you also don't want to be too big. You find bodybuilders, the more muscle you got, the more oxygen you need, the quicker you get gassed. So you want to get fit, you run 5Ks, be able to run 5Ks. That whole standard army test, actually, of the old days, army police, that whole fitness test, where how many pull-ups can you do in 2 minutes? How many push-ups can you do in 2 minutes? How many sit-ups can you do in 2 minutes? How fast can you run a 2.4? And can you run a 5K? So for me, if you're training at home to get fit, includes on the weekend just running 5Ks. Maybe twice during the week you run a little 2.4, just yourself. Every morning get up and do your 20 push-ups, do your 20 sit-ups. Start seeing if you can do pull-ups. And if you can't do pull-ups, just hang it on the ball. You know, the ability, so I see they've dropped it from the Army fitness requirement now. When I was the first time that I got to the Army, was the first time a guy couldn't do a pull-up. And they had to redevelop the PT course around that to get the guys to upper body strength, because we grew up with what they call the TV generation. We're the first generation that grew up with TVs, not playing outside. I didn't think we had TVs. Maybe we were just poor. I'm joking, but yeah. So it's a natural body weight exercise. Why pull-ups? Because if you're chasing someone or you're running from someone, you need to be able to run, jump, and pull yourself over that wall. You know, there are instances where you need to climb something, so you need upper body strength to grab, to pull, to climb. So pull-ups are important. Sit-ups, and then just running. Your strength and your stamina comes from your legs. So road work. So boxers. Why are boxers ultimately fit? The more road work they put in, the more stamina and the better they go rounds-wise. So road work, 2.4s, 5Ks. Yeah, definitely. If you're going to do it, so it's the whole thing. If you're going to do it, do the right thing. But if you're going to do it properly.
That's a good motto. Yeah. When people ask about Krav, they usually think it's a self-defense, and I don't like to use the word self-defense because often people think self-defense, kick the guy in the groin, poke him in the eye, and run away, which this is not what it is. So how would we describe the difference between self-defense in that sense and Krav to just the normal average guy?
So it is, I think that self-defense has cast its net too wide. So if someone says to me they're taking up boxing for self-defense, I say, well, actually you can't. Boxing is not self-defense, it's a sport. And it can maybe bully-proof you. Someone says I'm taking up jits for self-defense. Jits is a sport and it can help for bully-proofing, but it's not self-defense. And maybe I should actually just, what they are is they all have an aspect of self-defense in them, but they're not a complete system. So what Krav does, Krav is a complete system. So where boxing will be stand up and blocking punches and punching, and jits will be rolling on the ground. I can deal with that in Krav. I can deal with the punches, I can deal with the rolling on the ground. But I can also deal with the knives, I can deal with the pangas, I can deal with the guns, I can deal with the firearms, I can deal with two attackers. I can also deal with, sometimes I'm not defending myself, but I'm defending you. If there's a gun to your head, what now? If you're in the house and you phone me and say, listen, there's someone in my house, come. I can get to the house, I can clear the house. It's just a fully integrated combat system. So Krav is more of a combat system than just solely focused on self-defense. If that, and for me, a combat system is because Krav not only has self-defense components, but it has offensive components. Once I get into a tight situation, self-defense for me, and I might be wrong, so my definition of self-defense, someone attacks me and I defend myself. That's self-defense. There are times in life where I need to be offensive, where I recognize the shit's going to happen and I need to go on the attack. And Krav deals with that quite seamlessly.
I've seen videos on social media. You can search for Krav and you get all of these kinds of videos coming up. But that's not what you teach.
No.
So then how would the normal person who doesn't have experience of TrueKrav know that that is maybe not the best system for me to learn and that's a bit dangerous?
So for me, it goes back to having an inquiring mind. And unfortunately, the self-defense industry, we just touched on it earlier, the MMA industry, the boxing, the jits, is just do it that way because I told you. And self-defense can't work like that because there are different scenarios. You guys still sometimes say, what happens if this happens, and what happens if that happens, and what happens if I do this? And I can't tell you, but that won't happen. Let's just do it like this because that's how it works. That's bullshit because, unfortunately, everything I teach you, no fight ever. I hit you and I say, okay, when you hit you grab the guy and you grab the guy there. 9 out of 10 times when you hit the guy, it doesn't end up where you want him to. Now he's completely in the wrong position. So in Krav, we teach you a set of building blocks. and say, in this scenario, this and you've got to pack everything together. You have to have an inquiry mind, so you have to question. Okay, so if I stand and I put a gun to you and you punch me, I must react like you've punched me. I must pull the gun away. Do I get the gun back? And I think for me, those are the sort of questions that I need to look at. And there's enough out there on the web. I think I'm not saying we're the only people that do it right. I've seen some other stuff out there that's actually very, very good, especially hand-to-hand wise. But you just got to be discerning. There are pyramid schemes. Anyone that's offering you to become a Tier 1 instructor in 3 weeks, you started Krav and they say in 3 months you can be a Tier 1 instructor, you're wasting your time, because that's not possible. It takes years of training to be able to do it properly. And then for me, it's just you always have to have an inquiring mind. You always have to question. I've got some pretty big guys that train with me to hear that question, and that's the worst thing in the world. You're twice your size, questioning what you do. But it either works or it doesn't work, So we're open to that. So for me, just take everything you see on the internet and the TikTok, just take it with a pinch of salt. How big is the self-defense school? What are they doing? What are the instructors like? Is there any question? Is there any realistic training? I mean, is the training? Are the guys actually rolling on the ground, or are the guys just standing still? They're always telltale signs. Go look at TrueKrav.com. That'd be a good place to look.
Just skip the rest and go right there. That's true. What type of people come to you to learn TrueKrav? Is it people in policing, or what kind of people are they?
I've had, and I do have people that in the police force come train. Some of them come train to upgrade their hand-to-hand and hot and cold weapon skills. So some people have come just to learn shooting from us. From paramedics who, under pressure, getting attacked in townships. I've had women who just have panic attacks in general. They go out into open spaces and they just have panic attacks. Nothing's actually happened to them, but they have panic attacks, come and train, and it gives them self-confidence and they get over it. So we have people from all walks of life. Unfortunately, we have had, a lot of people only go look for a self-defense school after something's happened. So unfortunately, we've had women that have been attacked that have come to train, and it gives them some measure of dignity and life back once they've got it, Unfortunately, my opinion is that you should, it's not if, it's when in this country. Go and do something, go look for it first. But across all walks of life, soldiers, housewives, doctors who feel, working in emergency rooms, who feel insecure in hospitals. When the gangsters come in, they shoot, and the gangsters come into the emergency rooms. From tiny little women that are 50 kilos to men that are 160 kilos
Sure.
across the board.
Wow, okay. That's quite a variety of people then. What is the key thing that people need to remember when learning or considering learning to do TrueKrav?
I think commitment, I think anyone with the right mindset can learn it. We can make you physically faster, physically stronger. But so there's no, so when you're learning any self-defense, not any craft, there's no magic to self-defense. These bullshit courses where you do a 3-hour course and you poke the oak and then you touch him in the throat, or you touch his shoulder and he falls down. That doesn't work. Self-defense is about technique, it is, but it's about aggression and about fitness. The more aggressive and the more fitter you are, the better you'll perform your technique, the more chances you've got of surviving. Outside of that, it's about committing to it for 6 months, a year, and making it a lifestyle. If you're serious about it, you can learn. You can go flat out. You can learn the techniques for 6 months. You want more, you can go learn the techniques for a year. But to be able to stay competent, that fitness you need to do for the rest of your life. Because it doesn't help you just fit while you're training. 2 years down the line, you get attacked. You haven't trained for a year. The guy punches you, hits you, you fall down, you get up, you're gassed, you can't, So once you start it, if you're not going to commit to it as a lifestyle, don't start. You're wasting everyone's time. There's nothing more than I hate. For me, my pet hate is someone that comes twice in a row, then you don't see them for 6 weeks, and you see them once, then you're wasting my time and your time, actually, and you can never make a full run around the circuit, because you just never get there. So why are you actually doing it? What you're doing is you're creating a false sense of security for yourself.
Yeah, interesting. Good point. What other training do you offer? Or is it just TrueKrav and the weapons training, the firearm training?
No. So here, the main training is obviously TrueKrav, which offers, and there's a whole lot of stuff. So in town, the head office is in town, Etienne Ferreira. Got a really big studio in town. You can go learn VIP protection from him if you want to go into that sort of line of work. You can learn shooting. You can obviously learn Krav, and then at both studios, if you want to bullyproof yourself and not do Krav, I've got an MMA coach here who does jits, who does boxing, who does kickboxing in town. You can learn the same. So we've got other disciplines in amongst the thing. So for kids, so for me, Krav is for, depending on the robust. I mean, my boy does Krav, but he's 14, but young, but he's big. He's 105 kilos. He's a monster. You know, he really is a monster. He's a big boy. He's bigger than me, 14 years old. But generally for 16 and up, because what you don't want to do is teach a 6-year-old to go punch someone in the throat or elbow somebody in the face at school when he gets cross. For younger kids, 16 and under, I recommend stuff like wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and boxing if you want to bullyproof your kid. And that's why we offer that as well. So they've got some, also one of the things is Krav as a combat sport is quite difficult because you can't really elbow something. So one of my recommendations as well, and it's what we do, I think we spoke about it, is our box and our spar, because the first time someone hits you properly hard, it's like, oh, what was that? So that you don't want to be surprised the first time you're out training and someone hits you, and it's the first time you've been hit, and suddenly everything you've learned goes out your head. That's also why when we do Krav, when we start training properly, once you've got the techniques down, we actually grab each other quite hard and we go at each other quite robustly. Is so that, and especially the woman, you can't grab a woman lightly, and the first time someone grabs her and she gets a fight and everything she's learned is going out her head. So doing Krav is one thing, but also a little bit of light sparring. We got it a little bit harder than light sparring. But just feeling like what it, and it's not an ego thing. Just feel what it's like to take a punch, to get hit, to just so that you know what you're getting into. So I think there's also a good cross-pollination to do other stuff.
And just knowing that little bit of those other things as well. It makes sense when you think about it, actually. Frank, thank you so much for your time and for teaching us all of this. I didn't know all of this stuff about TrueKrav or about Krav, and it's been really interesting. Thank you for sharing your expertise and your knowledge with us, and for allowing us to visit you here at your place today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you.